the evening of April 22nd, and this is a recording of the renovation of the Dune Acres Clubhouse. Mark, get set. Oh, it's on.
Oh, it is on?
Yeah.
What do you want me to say? Today is May the 7th, 1991, and today is the first day that the men from Limberlost are here working on our new clubhouse. And if you pan off, this is the north section of the building, and they've taken out the large single pane window in the center, and they also the two windows on the side, which were windows that opened out. The two windows on the side will be replaced with Anderson windows that will have screens and be able to be cranked out, and the middle window will be replaced with a thermal pane window. And of course the Anderson windows will be thermal pane also. And the log underneath the opening there is all going to be replaced. Are stripping the bark off prior to them being put in place.
Mm-hmm.
They've been working on this all day, and they're doing it primarily by hand tools. And like Amos said, they're doing it the way we used to do it 100 years ago. So,
wow.
You know, that in itself is remarkable. That they have the patience to do that. They're using old hand tools that they brought with them today from their workshop. Show us how you loosen a piece of the bark up and pull it off, and we get it recorded. That one you're working on is fine. The logs that have just recently been cut are a lot easier to debark because there's sap between the outer layer of the bark, or the inner layer of the bark, and the wood itself. See how easy that comes off?
Yeah.
Those logs just came from northern Michigan about 2 weeks ago. While the ones that have been here for a while, like a month, are peeling a lot slower. You can see the wetness of the log itself there too. Foundation, the Dune Acres Civic Foundation is undertaking the cost of this renovation, but there's been a wall that's been taken out there, a bathroom that's been taken out. And what will happen here is a new sink and dishwasher will be put into this area. This door here will be permanently closed and blocked off, so we'll have that as a shelving area, and then we're going to put a new stove in this area here that will be very similar to what you'd use in a restaurant. We hope that people can come up here with parties and do the cooking right in this kitchen. We're getting new refrigerators that will come in. Then we're going to relamp it and paint it, put a new floor in it. Mary Ann Tittle and her group has been very instrumental in putting this all together. I'll take my picture. Then we'll go into this area here. It's a 6-foot high window. You know, all the windows are crank-out windows with screens, and they also are thermal pane. These are nails that they took out of the window area, and these nails were used to fasten the logs together. They said that these nails are as old as the building. You want to take a couple of these and polish them up, but you can see evidence here of the way that they rusted. And the reason that they rusted is because the building has been in need of caulking for so many years. So once we get this work done, this condition like this shouldn't be existing anymore. It should be stopped or arrested. Those are 100-year-old nails, they say. Or as old as the building.
The logs are stripped. More activity in the clubhouse. The workers aren't here right now. I have to interview them later. This is the window facing the lake. Has it been replaced yet, obviously? Oh, okay. What are you doing here?
Mixing mud and filling up logs, cracks in the logs. For the cracks in the logs.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
What does it consist of?
It's mortar.
Mm-hmm.
The window like it originally was.
Uh-huh.
What
was it? What was it?
Well, there were 3 windows in there before.
Mm-hmm.
And on the photograph inside it shows a big, huge picture window. So they're going to replace it with a big one.
And they're out there. Well, you know, all these logs that they're like bringing here, they're rotted. Oh, stuff is like all special for the windows and stuff.
Yeah.
Clubhouse.
Isn't that pretty?
That's the,
And it's porches out here, and you can see the Cardinal real plain on a clear day.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you have to do now here?
Well, we had to shore up and support the whole top, or we changed that whole log, see?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Hmm.
It's a lot of work jacking them things up like that. What else?
The last view.
That's the color stain we're putting on it. That's where that brown is in the bottom log there.
Uh-huh.
That's the color stain we're going to use. But first we're going to put a sealer on the preservative.
Were you just telling me about?
Well, there's a state museum. They got some paintings of some fireplaces laid on natural stone.
In Valparaiso?
That's the state museum. Makes you kind of proud of your work sometimes.
Yeah, it's great. It's recording. The doors are in and the logs have been caulked. It's been a very hot day. It's 3 o'clock. I seem to get here when the workers have gone home. Well, the windows aren't in yet and the door is boarded, so I think that means I shouldn't go inside. Doesn't look as though the other big windows have been installed yet, so I think I'll...
1991. Clarence. Finishing up the entryway to the clubhouse. This is their last day. Finishing staining the building. These 2 fellows have been working on the roof. trimming out the brush. There is a view from the second floor in the windows. These are still the old windows. The new ones arrived yesterday. This is the third floor exterior roof. I don't know if it'll show up, but this is partly painted and partly not. I just missed them working on it. They're in for lunch. This side is finished. These are part of the Christmas tree lights. This is the exterior of the fireplace. I feel as though this is what the kitchen fireplace looks like, and maybe the white ones. We're talking about restoring them to the natural color again. Third floor interior fireplace. The brick is slightly different from the second floor, and we found out they were not always white. All the completed replaced logs. The logs on the west wall, stairwell. The west alcove. Alcove, west wall in the south end, these are the new windows, and the kitchen. This is the new exit. New doors, not yet stained, with all the brand new logs. Interior entryway. South wing, where they've restored these south logs. Those are half logs placed on top of the old siding under that window. And they've restored the original type of corner. Leftover logs.
Also saws. And this overhang here was all done by hand. Look. Here, and then it went up there. Those logs made a tremendous difference in the straightening up of the floors. But this area here now, this whole bottom area was taken out, and those are all new logs. And you can see the chain marks of the chainsaws, and that's how they would shave the logs. That was in also saws.
And this overhang here was all done by hand. And look how they notched it into the logs.
And Morrison, right?
And I think it's just magnificent. This is all tongue and groove planking on this underside here, and it's womanized. It called for cedar, but we went with womanizing because I kind of felt it was optional. Really got the nice roof on there. You want to take that camera off there? This unsnaps really easy.
It's all right. July 9th. We have Henry and Art Studebaker here, our town historians, first residents.
Not quite. Born.
First-born residents. Okay, it's rolling. I guess we wanted to ask you about, your dad and about work.
Okay, well, William A. Wirt was our father's uncle by marriage. He married our grandmother's sister. Her name was Bertha Cook, and our grandmother's maiden name was Rebecca Cook. And William A. Wirt was the superintendent of Gary Public Schools back in the early 1900s. He conceived the idea of this residential community out in the beautiful Indiana Dunes, probably along the late teens sometime, about the time of World War I. In the early 20s, put the idea into motion and managed to work out an acquisition plan to acquire the property that resulted in it become Dune Acres. And in the early 20s, actually formed a corporation called Dune Acres Incorporated, and that was followed up by establishing the town as a municipal corporation along about the same time. It was conceived of as a community that had integrated with it a golf course, a clubhouse, and actually a marina. In the original plats of the town describe all of those features. Mr. Wirt apparently worked out the development of the clubhouse, probably along with his civil engineer assistant, Colonel Melton, who did all of the original subdivision work, laid out all the roads, tracks, that sort of thing.
That's how US 20 got the name, from him?
Right,
Mountain Highway?
He was also the Gary.
Oh.
Yeah, he laid out the city of Gary, too.
Oh, he did?
So that's kind of where Dune Acres has its roots in Gary, because that's where it all started from. And some of the original investors in the corporation, I presume, were personal acquaintances of William Wirt, like the Harry Hall, some of the others, but I don't recall all the names at the moment. Later on, H.B. Snyder came into it as well. And,
His grandfather was involved.
yes, the Fiddles were involved very definitely. They were early participants in the thing, along with Harry Hall.
Yes.
Oh yeah, William W.W. Gasser.
Yeah, they were all involved in it. Another man who was a school architect, probably did a lot of the original Gary school design, Mr. Edner. He was also one of the original homeowners. But backtracking to the earlier days, about the time of the concept of the town, the first order of business was to get the clubhouse and the golf course built, because that's what it was all about,
To attract future
the idea
homeowners.
was to attract future homeowners, people to come out here and enjoy the dunes, and not just play golf, and enjoy the lake and the boats and the marina. all that goes with that. Probably with Colonel Melton's help, they got the clubhouse designed, got it built.
Was your dad instrumental in building
He
it?
had nothing to do with building the clubhouse. At that time, my father worked as a construction superintendent for a Standard Oil Company in the fighting refinery. And of course, his Uncle William lived in Gary. There was a lot of conversation in the family. The oldest son of the Wirt family, William Wirt, was a good friend of our father's, and they called him a lot. In the process of getting the town together, I guess Uncle William decided he needed somebody to help get things built, and so he offered a position to his nephew, our father, to come out here and be the construction superintendent for the corporation, because at that time, the corporation not only sold the lots, but they'd sell the house with the lots, or they would sell them actually. They were all leased at the time. Most of the first subdivision still is. And that's how he got into Dune Acres. He arrived here on November the 11th, Armistice Day of 1923, and actually lived here in the clubhouse until he got more permanent arrangements worked out. The next year he built a house, this is 32 Crest Drive. Started that out in 1924. And through all this, we presumed he met our mother, who was one of the Chelberg daughters up on the Chelberg farm. Our grandmother ran a boarding house up there at the time, and I guess she served Sunday meals, and she also catered meals out here at the clubhouse. Used the family members to assist in that sort of thing, so it looks like that's how they got acquainted. And in 1926, by that time we had the house built, and they got married in June of 1926, and things moved on from there, and I arrived in September of 1927, right there at 32 Crest Drive. A couple years later, here comes Arthur, same way. So that's, we were born in that house. We grew up in Dune Acres and spent all of our early years following the construction jobs around, and the road building jobs, and the water main laying jobs, and all that went along with getting the town built. Well, that's kind of how the early history of things went, and how the clubhouse went. Of course, an integral part of Uncle William Wirt's thinking was that some of these houses didn't have enough space for all the weekend visitors, and he thought it'd be nice to have a place for them to stay, so they came up with the idea of building a guest house along with the clubhouse. And its purpose was to be a place where overflow guests could come and stay, and prospective buyers of real estate could come to stay here too, and get a chance to get a good feel of the dunes and enjoy some of the features that the town had, all the things that go with that. So that's kind of what conceived the guest house. It was built by our father as he was employed by the corporation. And it was made out of logs just like a clubhouse. The foundation for it is still standing today, and the guest house was a 2-story log building. It had 3 rooms on each side of each floor, totaling 12 guest rooms.
Would this be a good time to go down there and just look at it?
Sure, we
while
can
we're
do
talking
that.
about it? Okay.
Each room had its own back.
Okay. I think we're rolling. Yeah, we are.
This is the site of the clubhouse. Overall size. There were 3 rooms on each side. Nice center hallway. Stairway in front and at the back. Wasn't there a little deck out there?
Yeah, there was a little deck.
There was a small deck on the north edge there, on both floors.
On both floors.
First floor and second floor.
12 rooms.
12 rooms
12
altogether. Each room had a private bath.
Were you 1 story or 2?
2 stories.
2 stories.
Huh.
But what was the reason why this was tore down?
I don't know
Why the clubhouse was not?
Just did not want to maintain it.
It was, it had
Roof leak. Roof was starting to leak.
it was becoming a burden for the town to maintain. Apparently, in the late 1940s,
They couldn't get any rental. It seemed to be desirable.
I don't know how well the facility was being patronized. The clubhouse and guest house operation was contracted out by the town. Different people. There was a family initially by the name of the Joneses. They did it, as I can recall, Ray Eschenbaum.
Oh, that's good.
And also there was another family, Mrs. Cross, that she did it for years too. And in the summer of 1942, our own mother did it for a while in the summer. And we, as helpers, we actually stayed in the rooms down below here. We didn't stay up at the house, we stayed here, so we were close to the work because
Served breakfast.
served breakfast.
American plan.
And what did you do?
Well, we
How old were you then?
That was one of your easier jobs because you said you had to
Dr. Studebaker, our earliest recollections of the clubhouse, which was built in 1922 and 23, I believe,
as far as we know.
and they would like to tell us how it all began in 1924.
Start off, Art.
My father had been approached by his uncle William A. Wirt. I guess at that time he was employed at Whiting Refinement with Standard Oil. Uncle William needed somebody to watch over one of his projects, which was Dune Acres. And he arrived out here on Armistice Day, 1924, on his Harley-Davidson motorcycle. Came up here to the clubhouse. And this is where he lived for quite some time, until he got his own house built over on 32 Crest Drive. In the process of that, Uncle William had social events here at the clubhouse. And of course, it was called the clubhouse because Dune Acres had a 7-hole golf course out here near the Tamarack Swamp. That was part of the allure of coming to Dune Acres, was to have a golf course close by. They had social events here at the clubhouse. And our grandmother, who lived on the Choburg farm just a couple miles south of here, was catering some of those dinner events. Had her daughters, our mother Naomi and our Aunt Ruth, helping her do those things. As we understand it, that's how our father and our mother Naomi got introduced to each other. It was in the process of some of those social events that went on here in the middle 20s.
And then the Depression hit.
Well, they got a few houses started before the Depression came. Quite a few of them, in fact. One of them was William Wirt's house, which burned down sometime after that, and several others. A lot of these folks were from Gary, were business people from Gary, like Harry Hall, Charlie Leary. Do you remember any others?
Were any of the houses on Circle Drive built before the Depression?
None of the first log house was built in 1932, I believe. That was after the Depression had gotten into its more severe stages. But prior to that, the owner and editor of the Gary Post-Tribune, Burgess Snyder, built a house. That was in 1927. And of course, Mr. Leary's house was built in 1927. And I think the Rossman's house, who was a teacher in the Gary schools, That was a log house built right across from Charlie Leary's house. These were both on Crest Drive. And another teacher, Mr. Engel, built a log house. I believe that's on Ridge Drive.